So talk to me about immigration. So when I have seen you talking about clips where we're hearing the word Ethiopians and racist, and we're tarring
you heard me say the word Ethiopian and racist?
Yes.
When did you hear me say that?
Rapists.
Rapists, yes, because there have been illegal migrants have been allowed into this country that have gone on to sexually assault girls.
Correct.
Do you condone that?
Why are we tarring the entire Ethiopians? We've just...
The famous comedian Munya Chawawa seems to think that mentioning the country that a rapist has come from is deeply wrong. Watch Reform Councillor Laila Cunningham completely annihilate him for this.
Because it was, hang on, I'm sorry, but when you allow people, unvetted men, into our country who you have no idea who their history is, and you put them in a town and village, and you subject them to young girls who are walking in the streets and they end up raping a girl or sexually assaulting a girl, of course I'm going to call it out.
Listen, why is it not enough?
Would you not think it's right to call it out?
Why is it not enough to say, let's take measures on immigration? The minute you start
We are taking measures on immigration.
The minute you start referencing specific groups, the association in people's minds is, if I encounter an Ethiopian, this is now the person we're talking about. We just spent the whole top of the show talking about Prince Andrew, and yet I've never heard you say abolish the royals. You can treat it as a case study. So what I'm saying to you is...
The royals are part of Britain. We are importing rapists and terrorists into this country through our open borders. You cannot deny that.
What absolutely just infuriates me is where he says, oh, you can't say, you can't mention Ethiopians, you can't mention the fact that a man who may have raped or sexually assaulted a girl is an Ethiopian, because that means that some people will then think that any Ethiopian they see is a racist. Well, I'm sorry, of course you're going to get a few idiots, there will always be a few racists in society that act that way, but to say that that is justification for not highlighting a serious issue, for example, the grooming gangs, where for years and years it was covered up and we weren't allowed to identify the fact that it was Pakistani Muslim men, on the basis that there are some people who, if we tell the truth about who is predominantly committing these crimes, that there will be some people who then think that every Pakistani they see is a rapist and involved in grooming gangs, right? You will always have some idiots in society like that, but to say that is justification for completely hiding the truth about crimes committed in this country is just beyond belief, especially when we're talking about something as serious as rape and sexual assault. People like this, they'll say they care about women, they care about rape, they care about sexual assault, they care about women's rights, but then when it doesn't fit their woke worldview, they suddenly decide, you know what, let's just ignore these crimes because we don't want to possibly inflame community tensions, for example, is that term they always used and used all the time with the grooming gangs.
How many rapes is too much for you to say it's not okay? How many rapes would you accept?
This is my question to you, right? We are talking about instances. We know that there are rapists in Britain, right? Already here. You've described them as homegrown rapists before. That is very different. The homegrown rapist, that's almost a juxtaposition. It doesn't make any sense as a term of condemnation, right?
Yes, of course it does. Any rapist is condemned by me. I was a criminal prosecutor and I'm a mother of daughters and I'm a woman myself. Of course they are. Don't put words into my mouth. But we have homegrown rapists. That does not excuse us importing more and putting them in towns and villages. I'm sorry, I'm not going to back down from that position, and I think you'll find most of the British public completely disagree with you. And if that certain rapist that I mentioned happened to be Ethiopian, then yes, I'm not going to shy away from saying that he was Ethiopian, because that's what happened with the Pakistani rape gangs. People didn't want to say where they were from, and it was they were proliferated.
Yes, but you're applying it to a wide group. When
no, I'm applying it to illegal migrants who are allowed into this country. That is not a wide group, that is a specific group.
But it's not all illegal migrants.
How do you know? Are they vetted? How do you know?
Because we know that we're talking about instances.
How do you know that every man crossing on that boat is not a rapist or a terrorist? We know that one was a convicted terrorist.
But just to be clear, you don't know.
No, I don't know, but I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt because they have thrown their passports, they've entered this country illegally, so I will treat them as criminals, yes.
Let me bring Afa in here, who's sort of slightly caught between the...
So I disagree slightly with the last point there, where she alludes it is possible that everyone coming across on a boat is a terrorist or a rapist. Of course, that's a bit of a hypothetical, but that does kind of lump them all together. But overall, I think that Laila absolutely destroyed Munya Chawawa here. I mean, he tried to, after making the point that, oh, if you mention Ethiopians and you'll tar everybody with the same brush, he then went for the point of, oh, but you've admitted there are rapists in Britain, homegrown rapists, right? And I'm like, yeah, Yeah, of course there are rapists in Britain. Of course there are British people that are rapists. You know, it is actually possible that there are British people that are rapists and there are also illegal migrants that are rapists at the same time. It's not one or the other. They try to use this as like a kind of gotcha, but there are rapists who are British as well, you know. It's not all illegal migrants. And then with the grooming gangs, they're like, oh, it's not all Pakistanis. There are some white Brits that do it too. I'm sorry, but that doesn't, it's not a good argument at all. If you are in this country and you commit a rape or a sexual assault, that absolutely should be dealt with by the police, and you should serve your time in prison appropriately. But there are plenty of rapes and sexual assaults that could be avoided if we simply hadn't allowed people in the country who are not from here. Also, do these people not understand proportionality? Should we not be pointing out the fact that there are certain countries that people are coming from where they have a way higher propensity to commit certain crimes, including rape and sexual assault? That's why we absolutely should mention the country that people are from. Let's not forget, they're talking about Ethiopian migrants here. Who was, the guy from the migrant hotel in Epping who was just being thrown in prison for sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl and a woman. Where was he from? He was from Ethiopia. We need to address that. We need to talk about what country he's from. Look at the stats and see, do Ethiopians have a higher propensity to commit these crimes than Brits? If so, maybe we shouldn't be allowing a load of Ethiopian men into the country. I mean, Labour, they say they want to halve violence against women and girls, for example, but they don't seem to be taking the safety of women and girls seriously when they are allowing us to have a completely open border where we have men coming from places like Afghanistan, for example, which have the absolutely most appalling record in the world for their treatment of women. Okay, we need to talk about the countries these people are from, and I think the British public are absolutely sick to the teeth of the media and woke celebs like people like Munya Chawawa refusing to address what is just the facts and reality, because they're so scared and they're just, walking on eggshells rather, to make sure that they don't offend anybody or upset anybody. But the consequence of us avoiding these conversations is that women are unsafe in this country. We need to be frank and we need to be honest, and we need to face reality for what it is. Munya Chawawa, I think he's a brilliant comedian. I think that some of the videos that he posts are absolutely hilarious, and I respect his work for that. But on this, I think he's wrong, and I will call him out for it. And I think Laila did a very good job there. Anyway, I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Also, if you hit the notification bell, you will know when we're posting new videos so you don't miss out. So make sure you hit that button. See you next time.